stock market weekly chart review for August 1st through August 5th. We're looking at a 2-year chart of the S&P 500, ticker symbol SPY, with each candlestick, or red or green thing here called a candlestick, representing 1 week of time. Down here, this red and green indicates volume, how much transactions are going on in that particular day. This red line is the 200-day moving average, and this bluish line is the 50-day moving average. Now, last week we looked at the portfolio construction for the S&P 500 on Fidelity's website here, and it has changed a little bit, but it's relatively the same. We see that still the high weight of portfolio construction for the S&P 500 is still the technology sector, information technology specifically. We got healthcare coming in a little less than 15%. Consumer discretionary, I think, moved up a little bit from last week, and financials a little bit less than 11%. So we're going to look at ETFs correlating to each one of those sectors, because this ETF, S&P 500, is made up of 500 different stocks, and the bulk of those stocks fall into these sectors. So whatever's going on with these, ETFs sectors, however, whatever's going on with these particular stocks in the financials, in the technology, in the consumer discretionary, in healthcare, whatever's going on with those will give us a good indication of what's going to happen with the S&P 500. Whatever's happening with the S&P 500 gives you a good indication of what's going to happen with a particular stock you are looking at. So last week we left off with a lot of bullish indicators, thinking that sooner or later maybe we're going to come up and touch this 50-day moving average. We see when we examine this candle right here, this weekly candle for the S&P 500, we see that it has about even length of wick on the top here and tail on the bottom here. And interestingly enough, if we look over here to the left, right in this area, we have a similar candle, almost with the same body length. However, it's red instead of green. Now I get it, it's a little bit longer in the wicks here, and it's a little shorter in the body, but it's pretty similar. It's kind of a dojiest type of thing. Now, if we look what happened here, we had this big green candle come up here. Just like this candle, it closed at the top around 10–15% of this bullish candle, but all the selling came in. Now here, since we're going with green, what's going to happen? Not sure. Is a lot of selling going to come in? Possibly. Or is it kind of building a base to go up higher? We will see. Now let's keep looking over to the left. We see that there was a congestion around here. So we're at the 413 area, a little bit of congestion here. With when it's below this, when it's below the 413, the 413 becomes a ceiling, got to get through. But when it's on top of the 413, then that ceiling becomes the floor for the next level. So let's keep looking to the left and see if that's happened before. Ooh, notice that? Look at this. Came right here and touched that 413. Got kind of close in this area, around the 420. So maybe between the 420 and the 413, maybe we got some kind of congestion spot in there. We keep moving over to the left. Oh, we see sort of the same thing that's happened here before. So this seems to be a point of resistance going up or down. So this is a bit of a neutral indicator. However, we should get an idea by looking at these other 4 ETFs if we're still going to have a bit of a bullish slant to it. So let's look at the technology sector through XLK. When we look at XLK, we see a bullish candle here. Opened here for the day, traded it around here, so we have a wick, but not much of a, we have a tail, but not much of a wick up here. So basically prices were pushing all the way to the top. which tells us that the buyers were coming in, but no one was really selling here. It's a much more of a bullish indication. And same thing, it's opening, this candle opened in the top about 10-15% of this previous week's candle. When we look over to the left, we see kind of the resistance more here, so maybe we're on top of that. But you know, we got some clogged upness here, but overall that's looking pretty bullish. When we look going back to the left, yep, we see sort of that same thing, but it's a little bit lower, so we might be passing that. We'll see. So I would say XLK technology sector looks like it's going to keep going up. Let's look at the healthcare, XLV. Oh, now look at that. That is a nice doji there. Indecision, actually closed lower than it opened, hence the red. And the trading, we're about, you know, it opened up about 50% into this candle. Now the week prior, look at that. See how, unlike the technology sector, see how here, it opened here, prices pushed all the way up here, but sellers drove it down to here. So see that? That is a bit of a bearish type of thing. If we saw that wick over here, like down here, right, that tends to be more bullish, but that looks a little bearish, and so maybe selling is going to come in, and we're having a hard time breaking on top of that 50-day moving average. Sometimes the moving averages can also act as that ceiling when it's under it, and then that floor when it's on top of it, support, resistance. So looking at the healthcare, we got bullishness in technology, we got potential bearishness in healthcare. Let's look at consumer discretionary. Consumer discretionary. Looks like we're running out of steam. Looks like we're running out of some steam, my friends. Now again, we see that that wick on the top. You know, sellers pushed the prices all the way down here. Buyers tried to bring it up. They're pushing that price up, but the sellers just came in and brought it down. But it's still in this top part of our candle here. So overall, on that one, a little bit indecision. It could be just kind of building some momentum and resting. Let's take a look at the financials through XLF. XLF is looking see a similar pattern going on here, right? There's a bit of indecision. There's not strong amount of bullishness. There's not strong amount of bearishness. It's a little bit indecisive with seeming overall of all the different ETFs we looked at, seemingly a little bit pushing still up, a little more bullishness versus bearishness. But sometimes that's what happens in a reversal, right? Starts running out of steam, starts kind of consolidating a little bit, or sometimes it'll consolidate and get a big push up. Take a quick glance through that one more time. What might happen, you know, because that it's almost 30% of S&P 500 is made up of these technology stocks. So the technology stocks, if they keep going up, we could see higher amount going up. So I'm still leaning towards the S&P 500. I'm still leaning towards it's gonna be coming up here to test this 50-day moving average. Exactly when, I'm not sure. And I'm also going with that because there's more things that are factored in than just these technical charts. We're not really going over those in these weekly chart review videos, because these videos are geared a little more towards doing some technical analysis and helping you figure out how to look at these charts and kind of get an idea of how to forecast things for yourself. But you got things like the Federal Reserve, all the things that they do, different things that the government does, like whatever they did, put all that money into semiconductors and all that type of things. So because of that, which is basically, we could say, helping orchestrate higher prices, then I think higher prices might be here. So maybe we're going to go sideways a little bit. We'll see what happens in this coming week. But I would imagine that sooner or later we'll be testing this 500, this 50-day moving average. So what can we take away from, specifically from this week? Well, we can take away that whatever individual stock you're looking at is more than likely greatly influenced by the overall stock market. You can get a gauge of the overall stock market by looking at the S&P 500. You can go to the internet and do a search for something like what percentage of S&P 500 is made up of technology stocks. And then you'll find links to things like this, and you can look at what the S&P 500 is made up of, and then from there you can find ETFs. Okay, I want a healthcare ETF. I want a financial ETF, and you can start putting together a little package that will allow you to get an idea of looking at what are the different sectors of that heavily comprise the S&P 500 doing, because these stocks are making up the S&P 500. So if we're looking at like 30-40% of the S&P 500 via these ETFs, then we have an idea of what the S&P 500 is going to do. And when we have an idea of what the S&P 500 is going to do, then we have an idea of what weight that we'll put on our individual stock. And the last thing I'm going to ask you, or the only thing I'm going to ask you, please go to this YouTube channel and give it a like for me. Subscribe to my channel so you can get updated on these videos. And you could do one more. Go here, go to ihavesuccess.com. There's 4 different downloads you can get for free. You don't have to download them all. You can pick and choose which ones you want to do. Once you do that, any new free thing I make, I will email it to you. And you guys have a fantastic day. Talk to you later. Aloha.